Most presentations fail not because of a bad idea or a bad topic, but actually because of 5 mistakes that people make in their slides. But the good thing is they're quite easy to fix and to level up your slides to a higher level that you'll have a more professional and clean look and feel, but also you will communicate with impact. And that is what it's all about when we present. So let's have a look at how we can turn these mistakes into opportunities. Let's start with number 1, which is putting too much text on your slide. And of course, this is an obvious one. I mean, everyone knows it, but I still see it happening all the time, is people put long blocks of text on the slide. Now, if you have a standalone presentation that is sent around for information, then I agree. But if it's not and you're actually presenting it, then you want to limit the amount of text that you use. Because the downside is if you use a lot of text in your slides, first of all, people will start reading and they stop listening to you. And when they stop listening to you, then you kind of lose track of where everyone is. And the worst thing is that if someone, for example, sees that amount of text and they just don't feel like reading or paying attention anymore, so they instantly stop and they start doing something else. And that is the worst thing, because if the attention is gone, the purpose of the presentation is gone as well. So there's a quick, easy fix. Imagine if you have this slide, you can see that people will start losing attention very fast. And you can turn it into a different slide with a lot less text. You start using keywords, you start using shorter amounts of text, and you can even add more things on the slide like an image to support what you're saying. And if you use this technique, it will improve your slides by a lot. Nowadays we have AI to really simplify it for you. In Canva there's like built-in shortened text tools, so you can do quite a lot to really make it easy for you. So let's move to point number 2, which is not having any visual hierarchy. And no visual hierarchy, or lack thereof, is when everything sort of is the same size, the same font, and nothing really jumps out. So everything feels equally important or equally unimportant in some cases. You can see that in this example, the text is quite dull and nothing really jumps out and it's hard to read. You can follow the bullet points. A lot of people start filling it in and that's what causes it. What you can do instead is you can turn it into a visually interesting slide with more visual hierarchy, with clear things to look at, for example, icons or titles, and then the body text. Now, if you use this technique and you bring in some visual hierarchy to your slides, you will notice that there's a pattern people scan the page in, and you want to play on that pattern. You want to make sure that you control what the audience attention goes towards. And once you master that technique with, for example, using bold, using colors, using more spacing to give room to an object to breathe, that will get the attention. And that's what we want to control. So you want to look at your slide, what needs to be said, what needs to be communicated very clearly, and you want to give that a standout place on your slide. So it really jumps out, and that's what we want to create. So adding visual hierarchy, it really helps out your audience. And the easier it is for the audience, the better you will communicate in your message. Let's move to mistake number 3. Which is poor alignment on the slide. And poor alignment on the slide is one of the easiest things to make a slide look unprofessional and absolutely uninteresting and cluttered and boring. So we want to avoid that at any cost. If you have a slide with unaligned messages, you can see that it's very hard to scan for the audience, like what is important, where should we put attention to, and also what belongs together. If we compare it to a new version of this slide, you can see there's more of a hierarchy in it, and it's very easy for us to scan what belongs together and how to read the slide. So the way you do this is, for example, using grids on your slide, or just sort of looking like, are things aligned? That's the easiest thing you can do. Next, you can add some grids if you want to have it horizontal or vertically aligned, and you can add some more professional alignment to a slide. Now, a good way to look at the alignment on your slides is if you scroll out a bit, you zoom out a bit from your slide. And if you start seeing structures, you start seeing patterns, then you can sort of like puzzle these blocks and make sure that they fit. I have an entire chapter about slide layout in my program available, which is a preview lesson that you can access for free via the link in the description below. So if you're interested in that, make sure after the video to check that as well. So once we understand that slide alignment can really make or break your slide, we want to look at mistake number 4, which is inconsistencies. So inconsistencies, they really appear in a variety of ways in your slides. It can be through fonts, it can be through color, alignment, could be images, different styles of icons, visuals. There's a lot of way that you can sort of mix things around, and we don't want to do that. It's like going to the beach with your professional working shoes on. It just doesn't feel right. When things don't match together, everything feels a bit clumsy and unprofessional, because we want to have a slide deck that is one nice, consistent unit. And that's what we want. It has to feel and belong together, also to convey our branding. And in corporate presentations, this happens a lot, because we take something from one presentation and we take another slide from another one. We mix it together. It doesn't line up. The fonts are different. The colors are different. Light background, dark background. And it starts to become messy very fast. Now what you can do is you want to define a clear design system, some rules, some ground rules, some colors, some themes to really set up like a rule book. This is what we're going to use. This is a style that we're going for and we want to stick with it. Of course, you can break the rules a little bit, but as long as you do it on purpose, that is fine. If you do it unintentionally, that's where things get messy. If you look at this example, we can see the slides, colors, fonts, everything is a bit mixed around. It doesn't feel like it belongs. If we turn it into a nice color palette, that's when we see the professionalism shine through. Now, once that we know that the style and the consistency is super important, we want to look at mistake number 5, which is having no visual anchor point. And without a clear focal point, it's very hard for the audience to really understand what are we going to focus on, what should you focus on, what's important. And it feels a bit clumsy and cluttered. So we want to steer that with a clean focal point. If we have a look at this example, we can see that the slide doesn't have a focal point. Everything sort of feels like it's equally important. Besides the title, there's not really something that jumps out, and we want to avoid that. Let's say we have an image and some subtext below it, which is important. We want to highlight it more. Now compare it to the other version where you can see that we have clearly defined, we've put the image in large, and we've added a nice colorful block which can really contain the most important information that we want to show. So what you need to do for this is you need to look at your slides, and before you start making them, what is the most important thing for this slide? What is going to be your focal point, and how can you really put that on the slide first and then and only then start adding your content? People start adding content all at once, having everything on the slide and then trying to make something feel important. And that is very difficult to work with. So you want to have your key focal point first and then start building things around it. So you've seen the 5 mistakes that people make in their presentations, and you really want to avoid those because they limit the impact that you'll have. Now, if you like this style and those topics, I have an entire program available where I go really in depth on all of those things, all of the techniques, and really gives you that eye for design. So you can spot any mistake in your slides and you can also improve it and know exactly what to do. So if you want to have more information about that, you can check out the link in the description below, and there you can find all the information.